time to stay on, but still, I think he would hope to really push up his
right. He's got a couple
bit.
more years. So I've got a couple more few minutes left only, so I want to move on here. Now, originally I asked you to come to talk about how public confidence in the judiciary has gone down based on one of your polls. A few days back, the Chief Justice of Hong Kong, the retiring Chief Justice, Justice Lee, Andrew Lee, he's saying that there is no social bias in the way the judiciary sentences, hands down verdicts, and so on. But the people feel that there was, in the case of Amina Bukhari, who's got two very well-known, influential uncles. One's a quarter-final appeal judge, the other is an executive counselor. How serious is this shift in public opinion? Because if the public doesn't believe in the judiciary, that's a very serious issue.
Well, I think all our indicators on this judiciary confidence, well, they have gone down a bit because probably of this case, but I would think this is not a very serious drop, and it could recover. Well,
because the rule of law is one of our foundations in Hong Kong.
It's one of our foundations, and we've been measuring people's perception of all these foundation or pillars of Hong Kong values for such a long time. It seems that people do enjoy our freedom, so freedom indicator is always high. For the rule of law, well, it's a bit below freedom, but still people are sort of satisfied. The biggest challenge is not with these rulings, it's with the reinterpretation or interpretation of the basic law.
But do people really believe the uncles or somebody influenced the verdict of the magistrate?
Well, I think the cases themselves are pretty complicated because, well, we're not really looking at the pure judgment of handed down by the judge, but also the prosecution process. All these have influenced people's perception of the cases. But if we are asking people about the confidence in the rule of law, of course it goes ups and downs. It has always been on the high side, and I would think, of course, the government has to handle it very carefully, the court has to handle it carefully, but the way we see the court is that they should be independent of public opinion.
Sure,
of course they're being monitored, but the way that independent judiciary works is that they don't really have to bother public opinion.
Exactly. If they follow public opinion, they cannot really be independent. They're hostage to public opinion.
Exactly. So that has to be educated. People at Hong Kong have to educate. Right.
Well, I've just got a couple of minutes. Actually, I've got 1 minute left. I wanted to ask you this. We talked about structural changes in public opinion in Hong Kong. Now, what about, you mentioned, Hong Kong is unique. There's us and there's Macau, one country, two systems. You can look at the Greater China region in Hong Kong, Guangdong, Macau, and so on. How does that work? I mean, are you able to track opinion on mainland China, where there's far less democracy and freedom than we have here?
Well, even across all these Chinese societies, Taiwan, mainland China, Macau, Hong Kong, there's very special, unique features for different societies. Even for cities like Shanghai, Guangdong, Guangzhou, they are very different. But as I can see it, things are happening positively in China because any kind of responsive government, whether democratic or not, they need to get the pulse of the people. So they need professionals to do the job. I think a lot of professionals across the border in China already working on these public opinion research.
They get accurate opinion, though?
It has to be accurate, otherwise it's useless. But I think accurate opinion in the private domain or in the government domain versus public opinion in the media or in the public domain, there is still a big separation in these two types of research in China. In Hong Kong, in open society, of course, they merge together.
You can do it where, exactly.
Right.
Okay, just very quickly, last question. Many years ago, during the Tung administration, you came under a lot of pressure. The government wanted to pressure you. Very quickly, do you still feel this kind of pressure in your findings and the way you do your opinion?
Everybody has learned. I think the government has learned. We have also learned because we publish everything online, so there's not much need for insiders.
So there's no pressure on the part of the government on it?
Well, I say we're nice, we're good.
Okay, thank you. See you next week. Good evening.